Hello, everybody, and today we are talking about the intimidation of a new season. Okay, let's begin with the fact that when you start something new, the old will always try to push you backwards. Have you ever noticed when you are trying to start something new that there is this pushback that seems to try to remind you of all the things that you were doing prior to what you're starting that is new, to remind you and tell you and get you to go backwards? I'll give you a perfect example. Several years ago, it's probably about 7, 8 years ago, I decided to go to Ashford University online. At the time, I was surrounded by people that really wanted me to either get a job or go back to school. Now, most of them wanted me to get a job, but what I ended up choosing to do was I went to Ashford online for an entire year. But I started to receive pushback only when I opened my mouth and told people. The first rule of when you're starting a new thing, when it's in its infancy, don't tell anybody. When a woman is pregnant with a child, she doesn't tell anybody for that first 3 or so months while she's getting it going, where people can finally start to see it. So when you are starting a new thing, until there's something to talk about, don't tell nobody what you're doing. I made that mistake, and it was like when I started telling people and I felt more comfortable with it, then the word curses started. And it was like immediately I'd had teachers and professors that were great online. And it was like the second I told somebody, the next professor I got was a horror. And I feel like it was to intimidate me to leave the situation, but God was pulling me out of that season anyway. A lot of doors closed in relation to that at that time. But a spirit of intimidation will come in to tell you what you can and cannot do. So you have to be aware of this. And when I first came into the city of New York, there was a lot pushing me back, pushing back hard. Why come here? What are you doing here? If you're here, why didn't you this? There's no way that you don't have this, you don't have that. When you make the decision to move, and this is for my ladies, my gentlemen, my people, we are in a season right now, God is doing quick and sudden shifts. Some people, we ain't gonna be where we are for very much longer. If you're in a season where you've been there for a long time and you can see this season's about to unravel for a new one, some of y'all gonna be moving like that. Some of us are gonna be moving like that. And when it happens, it's going to be a bit intimidating. When I moved to New York, when I tell you that was an intimidating experience, especially the way that it situated itself. 'Cause I remember it was about 2015. It had to have been 2015. I went to a business event and I said, I was talking to somebody there and we were having a good conversation, and I said, oh, I'm going to New York, and the person asked me, oh, when you leaving? I said in October. And the irony is this, look how God works. It was 2015 he told me I was leaving in October. I didn't think about it till October 2017. It was very close to the entry of October 2000. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that's what I told that guy. 2 years ago. God will prepare you. And it was funny because that night when I said that, I was like, God, what we doing here? Because I was shocked too. Because God starts speaking through you, and you be like, what? It'd be like you having a conversation, you say something, and you be looking like, it'd be like the internal you is looking at you like, how you gonna do that? How you think you going? So that night, I went back on my computer and I said, what would it look like or to prepare to go to New York? And the blogs were telling you, well, first you're supposed to get a job, you're supposed to work, you're supposed to make at least 2 years worth of salary, then you're supposed to move. Let me tell you something right here, right now. I went to New York for 4 years. I'm telling you right now, if I had done exactly what that blog said, I'd have still ran out of money in 2 years. Just trying to find a job. I'm just saying. So sometimes following logical precaution will delay you. Because first you got to find the job where you are. You've got to start making the money. You're going to lose one check in waiting because of the fact that for a month you're going to have to work with no money until that first pay hits your check. So you're going to lose that 1 month. So you're only calculating for the next 23 months. And then if you're sitting up there and you're a meticulous planner, and then you got to hope, because you got to make it past your 90-day probation in the job. And then if you make the decision that in the midst of that you're going to be leaving the job in 2 years, and you definitely can't tell the job that, and you have to make it through that 2 years, and you have to get full salary, because a lot of jobs will start you off at entry level, and entry level is like $8 an hour. Then you got to multiply that by 2 years, unless you have credentials enough to get you that $15 an hour salary, which they don't want to seem to give you unless you've got degrees up the wazoo for $15. I'm just not. There's a video online right now of a black man crying because he's like, I can't do this no more, working a job. We gotta get financially free, but I'm not gonna get on that tangent. I'll save that for another video. Maybe we'll have our own conversation. I'll do a live or something about that tangent, okay? But we ain't going there, not today. But the point is, there's a spirit of intimidation that rises up to rear its head when you're supposed to be going into something new. But I knew I had God. You have to know that you have God, because when God is trying to tell you something, logic's going to tell you, oh, plan, oh, get the job here, oh, do this, make the money, get yourself together. But is God in that? Did God tell you to do that? Because when I went, I just left. Yeah, I just left. And a lot of Christians that have moved to places they were told to go to, they walked out on faith. I walked out on faith. When I left and came back here, I walked out on faith. Granted, it wasn't nothing I was really leaving behind, but yeah, it's a faith walk. And God will provide when you get to where you're going. But sometimes that intimidation once you get there, because I do know when I got to New York, it was interesting. I didn't have no money when I left, but when I got there, it was like people was handing me money. Money here, money there, money. Money was coming from left, money was coming from right, money was coming from here, there, and the other place. And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I was able to take care of my daily needs while I was there, and God covered me in that experience. But you got to know how to walk with God, and I mean truly know how to walk with God, because God had me in situations that would truly intimidate a person. To be like, most people in the scenarios that I was in, they'd have left after a month, they'd have left after 3 weeks, they'd have left after 6 weeks, they'd have left. When I got to where God rested me at, that 7th week in New York, I said, this got to be a lie from the pit of hell. God did not drop me off in this place. Oh, that place. That place. When he dropped me off in that place, I was like, this is the wrong address. This is not. But I didn't know what I was fighting when I went there. God literally put me in a spiritual boot camp, and it took me a college level degree in order to leave there. I didn't get to leave for 4 years. But I guarantee you I learned the necessary lessons that I'm able to teach you right now. You're going to be hearing about them right now. You about to hear about them on this channel right now. Do you hear me? Am I looking at you? But that intimidation, when you seeing those things happen, oh, it's ridiculous. And I had already been forward, and the enemy would try. I was expecting it to go one way, and it just ended up passing through one ear and out the other, and I kept on moving forward. People will come to you and start telling you what you shouldn't be doing. You should have went here. I remember that first night in New York, people were telling me, why did you do that? Why did you come here like this? Why did you da-da-da-da? The conversation that came at me. But I had to press in and get wisdom and direction, and God covered me. Because I remember that first night, it was around 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking the street at night in New York at 1 o'clock in the morning. The Lord sent somebody to me, and they gave me wisdom, and they took me someplace that particular night, and it was interesting because I actually passed that same place a few years later. You have to, during seasons like that, you got to read your word. You got to go to church. You got to listen to worship music. You have to praise God. Sing the songs you know. Do whatever you have to do in order to remain in his presence. In Daniel 9:3. Check the verse in the chapter. It's the international version. So I turned to the Lord God and pleaded with him in prayer and petition and in fasting and in sackcloth and in ashes. Daniel observed the books of the Lord, the books and the numbers of the years in which were revealed as the word Lord to Jeremiah and the prophet, and the desolation of Jerusalem, namely 70 years. So I gave my attention to the Lord God, seeking him in prayer and supplication, fasting and sackcloth and ashes, prayer to the Lord my God in confusion. Alas, Lord, the great, awesome God who keeps his covenant and loving kindness for those who love him, and keep his commandments. No matter what the odds, you don't stop. You keep going. When God sends you to a new place, everything about that new place is going to be intimidating. If you go back and you watch my video where I talk about waiting on the bus stop, and you need to change the vehicle or be looking for a different vehicle, that I was in a scenario where the vehicle I thought I was traveling in was a completely different vehicle than the one I ended up going in. And the second I got in that car, from the time that I got in the vehicle to the time I got to my destination, I was freaking out because I thought I was in the wrong place. Someone else was driving, and it felt uncomfortable. You have to let God drive. You have to let God deal with the situation. You have to let God take you where He's trying to take you. Don't fight Him when you get in the vehicle. Don't be thinking, oh, I'm going to jump out off this road, bro, because this vehicle looking right shady here. Sometimes God, and one of the ministers I listen to always says this. She says that God will open a door, and sometimes that door will look wrong. But when you cross into it, when you get to the other side, everything's going to be in order. When I left Baltimore and went to New York, everything about where I was, where He put me, where He placed me, we call ourselves children of God. God's going to cover us. God's going to have our back. He's not going to put you in. Where did He put Mary and Joseph during the 9 months she was pregnant? Where did He put them? What did He do to them? What did He do with them? That was a hard, long journey, and it was uncomfortable, and she still had to give birth in a barn. So when you say God is not going to put you in some places to prepare you, we be forgetting that part of the Bible. When God's trying to birth something out you, that you have to walk it out. You have to finish the process. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have to remember when I post this video, there's a link to a YouTube clip that I'm going to link to you, and it's going to have more from the exact same woman I just quoted, and it should be an expansion on more of what I'm saying. Okay? Well, I hope this has blessed you. I hope this has given you wisdom. A lot of us, our journey, our season shifting. Some of us are shifting into new homes. Some of us are shifting into new cities. Some of us are actually going to be shifting into new marriages. Hello. Some of us are going to be shifting into new career opportunities, new jobs, completely new opportunities that you did not expect, and it's going to happen real fast. And when it happens, it's going to be intimidating, but you're going to have to breathe through it. When I went to New York and it was going through those seasons, and some of those seasons, they were enough to give you panic attacks. I had to breathe through them. Breathe through them. You're in labor. It's just a contraction. Breathe through it. Push. Press in prayer until something happens. Go through your proving ground. I wasn't even going to say that. Go through your proving ground. Because once you have gone through your proving ground, baby, when God takes you where He's about to take you, it's going to be a completely different situation. I remember before I left New York, my coach, and it all makes sense now when I think about it, because I heard her say something recently and it makes perfect sense, because she went through a similar scenario, but her season she got through in 3 months. For me, I got through in 4 years. But and even when she went back to that situation, it took another 2 years before she came back. And when that happened, she said this. When she first went there for that 3 months, she came to the realization that God was giving her keys in a situation in that time frame that blessed her, that gave her the ability to do what she was able to do, because she gave it to him and he blessed it. And she moved forward and she started her ministry when she came back from that season. And I'm seeing now I'm doing the same. I'm starting my thing. So when I go back to New York, it's going to be a whole different story. But I also know God is bringing people alongside me to carry me during the season so that I may be able to move quicker, faster. And it's so funny because last night I was going through some files on my computer. I was looking for something that was irritating me. I couldn't find it. And I found 2 words, because when I receive a word, especially sometimes when the word is so aligned from the ministers I listen to, and they ain't even talking to me, because I remember it was 2 different cases. I was listening to the same minister, and the first time I just happened to be listening to a broadcast I happened to miss that morning because I wasn't able to listen to it at the time that it aired. And I came back and I was listening to everything that she was saying, and it was like it was my life. She was talking about my life. But I knew she wasn't talking to me, because the last portion of what she said, she was talking about a woman that had some children already. And I was like, but everything at the top of what she was saying was my life to a T. I was like, are you talking to me? But I couldn't have been me because I'm not there. And I'm like, wow. But I received what she said so well that I wrote it down and I prayed into it. And then it was another thing, was a couple different areas, and it's so funny. I love how God works, because last night when I was reading that, I wrote that down about 2 years ago in 2020, and it was 2 words she released to 2 separate people in the same broadcast. And when I tell you, God's speaking into those 2 areas right now, exactly what she's talking about in what she said 2 years ago, that I had the audacity and the boldness not only to write it down, but put it in my prayer request, baby. Because that's how I do. Write the vision, make it plain on tablets for runners to go get. When I tell you, it's like, it was like the spiritual gumption. It's like from your ministers telling you, I know God's about to send you into this. I need you to have a clear head, a clear heart. It's like that mentorship that you needed in that moment. I know where I'm going. I know I don't know how God's about to do it, but I know he's about to do it because I've been working into this. This is working into this. All of it's working into this. It's a preparation. It's a feel. And God's got me working on something right now. Very specific. Because it was something he showed me. And he didn't do it once. He's given me 3 confirmations in the past 2 days about this very same thing. And I'm like, I gotta work on this. And so when I'm done my ministry today, I'm gonna start working on this. Please ignore all the horns. Maybe it's the Lord giving me confirmation. Because sometimes when you hear horns or sirens, that's a confirmation upon something you're saying to pay attention. So, yeah, I believe the angels are like, yes, this is the thing. But I had to leave. I had to get the training. And now I'm here. And baby, we about to go. We about to run. We in this thing. We in this thing. And I kind of feel bad because my coach is kind of like, where you at, child? You ain't in my program today. Where you at? And I'm like, I wish I was there. But God's got me with him right now. And he got me working on this. So it's not that I ain't doing nothing. I am doing. That's why I'm not here. So I'm like, it's about to be on. It's about to be lit. We about to do this. For real, for real. It's about to be some realness. Lord, should I do that today? Oh. We'll see. I know I'm not making any sense to you. Something I remember that I need to do, and since I got the time to do it, I don't know. I might work on it today. But let the Lord lead you. Let the Lord show you. Let the Lord prepare you. And as He's preparing you, walk with Him. It's going to be scary. It's not going to make sense at some points. But you just keep walking. God will show you the way. It'll make sense. In time, it will make sense. So, you have to continue to move, even in the midst of the intimidation, because your new season is coming and it's about to be wonderful. Keep walking. This is Taj McCameron for the ministry. Until next time, bye-bye. Much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you.